This is the Sonder Community Podcast. Our goal is simple: better ourselves and better the world. Emergencies happen. People fall and break a bone or suffer more severe injuries all the time. I've had my fair share of broken bones, and I've seen others do the same. If this happens in a group, it's pretty interesting to see how people respond. People's initial reaction tends to be pretty consistent. It's some way of expressing shock, maybe a sharp inhale or something. Whatever that first moment is, doesn't matter all that much because it's pretty much uncontrollable. Now, what we see after the initial reaction, now that's what's fascinating. There are a few consistent characters in most groups facing an emergency situation. There's the screamer. "Dear God!" And insert more yelling that tends to not be very coherent. Now, this person is not helpful. They yell, they make a difficult situation and turn it into absolute chaos. Next, there's the person who's paralyzed by shock. They are stone cold frozen. They are not helpful, but they don't add as much chaos as the screamer. But they can get in the way. Then there's the doer. This person has the same initial response as everyone else. They take a sharp inhale in surprise and realize that, oh, this is happening. But this person doesn't allow that initial impression to take hold of them. They become aware of what they're feeling, take a mental step back, and assess the situation. They figure out what needs to be done, and they do it. Has your gut response ever been wrong? Maybe you were afraid because in the dark you saw a snake on the ground, but in reality it turned out to be the tie you didn't hang up. Maybe you were angry because traffic was intensely slow. Maybe you got so angry that you yelled or aggressively zigzagged through traffic, hoping to get out faster. But if you think about it, your anger controlled you. You made others in your car and other drivers feel unsafe. And you didn't even get to where you were going any faster. Maybe you were absolutely confident that you had the correct information. You were even adamantly arguing your point with someone only to find out that in reality you were wrong and the other person was right. We've all been there. We have an initial impression about something, and it turned out our gut reaction and our knee-jerk response was incorrect. Life is full of initial impressions. You will always have a gut response. Whether it's fear of the unknown or anger in traffic, events happen, and we have an uncontrollable initial impression of the situation. This is understandable. But that doesn't have to be the whole story. Epictetus said, "What do you call those who follow every impression that strikes them?" Crazy. Just because your initial feeling was of fear doesn't mean that there is a real reason to be afraid. Just because you feel inconvenienced by traffic doesn't mean that you need to steep in that anger, be rude to other people in the car, or drive erratically. Just because you have an opinion about something doesn't mean that it is the most accurate. Here's the good news. You can train yourself to be like the person whose response is helpful in an emergency situation. You can even treat every situation the same way. You don't have to follow your every impression like a crazy person. You can separate your mind from your impression or impulse. Every situation is made better by a calm and level head. Now, I believe this is why the Apostle Paul said, "Take captive every thought." Notice, he did not say that we should control every thought. We like to think that we can control our thoughts, but that simply is not the case. We cannot resist the initial impulse, impression, or intrusive thought, but we do have the ability to take our thoughts captive and evaluate. But be honest with yourself right now. Do you step back from each situation, examine your impressions, and make rational decisions? Or do you follow the impulse of each moment? If you choose to take an elevated perspective of life or live an examined life, here are 2 suggestions. 1, take captive every thought in the moment. As you notice yourself feeling in each moment, try to mentally step out of the situation. The goal here is to observe each situation as if you're a third party, totally removed from it. As you observe, ask yourself questions like, will the situation change or be improved by me allowing this emotion to dictate what I do or say? Or, if I act this way or say this thing, will I be living my values? Every situation is different and requires you to ask the appropriate questions, but the important point is this. To the best of your ability, observe yourself in the moment. Before you speak in anger, act out of fear, or boast in pride, examine your initial impression. 2, reflect on every thought at the end of the day. Days are long, you work hard, and you're tired when it's time to sleep. But before you do, take just a few minutes to go through your day. Reflect on conversations, individual moments, emotions you felt, and the things that you said. As you do this, ask yourself questions. Did I live my values in that moment? Was I as open-minded and humble in this conversation as I like to think that I am? Did I let that emotion control me? Did that improve the situation? To live a good life requires work and training. It requires examination. Like the athlete who trains every day to improve so they can compete, we also have to train every day. These are simply exercises for our mind and spirit. This will allow you to think more objectively about situations. This will make you a better version of yourself, a better spouse, parent, neighbor, and member of the greater cosmos. This will also help sort through information. Whether it's from the news, social media, or a friend, everything is made better by a level head. Social media and the news get more traction and money when they threaten your beliefs and activate your emotions, especially anger, fear, and disgust. When something extreme is said about a situation or the other side, you can step back and examine your impressions. You do not have to fall for their emotion-baiting trap. Don't be a crazy person. This examination of your impressions is essential to living a good life. Thank you for listening. Feel free to continue to join us on the podcast. As always, all content is also written on our website. This content is only part of what we do. We want to know you. This is an experiment in creating a community that transcends our physical location. We have regular community pop-ups where we connect and have intellectually honest conversations. To sign up for information, stay up to date with our online pop-ups and events, to join our community on Discord and follow us on social media, check out our website at thesondercommunity.com.